Hey everyone. Hey everyone. How's it going? Okay, today we are going to be talking about Mark Carney. We're going to be looking at his chart and we're going to be looking at Canada's chart. This is really important because we want to know what's going on in 2026 in Canada. And tomorrow we are going to take a look at Trump and the United States chart as well. Now I'm just going to go live here on TikTok. So if you've got any questions, if you have any questions about what's going on in Canada and what is going on with Mark Carney, then just ask me. I'm definitely going to start doing a sort of a rundown of what I see astrologically. But I'm also going to give you a little bit of an update on some news which somebody had shared with me about Mr. Mark Carney. I did some history on him as well, and there really isn't a lot of history. He basically came from a father who was a principal, I think it was high school principal. His mother was a housewife, and then later on, was in the working class. From Northern Territories, these parents are from Irish descent. Mark Carney, we're talking about, and Canada. And, he has 3 siblings. So nothing really special there. No background connection to some bloodline or anything. But let's take a look at astrologically what's happening. And I'm wondering if I can do a share screen here. I might be able to. Okay, so the first thing, now I do sidereal astrology. So we're going to want to take a look at that, not on Western astrology. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a look at Canada. And then I'm going to make this joint connection with Canada and Carney. Now, Canada is going through something astrologically, and it's starting in the 2026. It's heavy in 2027. Now, you know that all of you, I've said to you that 2026, moving into 2027, so the latter part of 2026 and the forward part of 2027 is a tipping point. It's called the Great Divide. And Canada is a big part of this. You're going to be surprised because Canada is around, what Carney is joined into is wanting to create an inclusive capitalism. I looked up the word capitalism just to make sure that I really knew what it meant. And capitalism means everything isn't owned by the government. It's owned by the capital is owned by businesses. So big businesses. And I'll talk about that in a second. That doesn't sound pretty to me, but hey, some people agree with capitalism. I don't think it's really worked historically, but you let me know in the comments what you think. I'm not going to place any judgment here. This is all going to be astrological. Okay, now one of the things astrologically is that Neptune squares Moon and Sun and Uranus in Canada. So in Canada, this can be disturbing because that means the wool has been pulled over everyone's eyes, and there is a mystery towards what is going on, that the whole truth isn't out there. There's lies, there's deceptions, and this is a part of the chart that is going to maintain itself. There's going to be a bit of hit in March and April, but I want you to take a look at Mercury. Mercury has a favorable aspect to Neptune in Canada. And so what this means is when Mercury is going to be going through a soul rebirth with Canada, this is not going to be pleasant. This is around control. This is around control being forced on the future. That's the 9th house. This is around the whole educational system being altered and changed in order for control to come into play. The reason I'm saying this is because Mercury is in the Canadian chart in sidereal astrology is in Cancer. In Cancer, the sign of Cancer is around thinking small, thinking in small groups, thinking about being young, being childlike, being immature, being emotionally sensitive, emotionally, intellectually sensitive. And what's going to hit it is Pluto. And Pluto means, and it's never happened here, okay? So when Pluto hits it, it means there's a complete overhaul of control because that's Pluto in Capricorn. complete overhaul and control, and the loss of control. We're going to feel this pinch around May of 2026. That's Canada. Now, let's see what Mark Carney has to do with this. But we're not going to, unless you're sort of doing a deep dive behind the scenes about what's going on, it won't be prevalent to the general public. It won't be prevalent to the general public until 2027, but it's going to hit hard and it's going to hit fast. And it's kind of like COVID all over again. It's nothing to do with the health, though. It has to do with the education system. And that will be in March of 2027. This is the resurrection of the phoenix rising from the ashes. What I'm seeing here, because it's in an opposition, is that we're not going to play small anymore, that we don't want our educational system overhauled, and that there's going to be a fight against, we don't want our education taken over by big business. We want our education to be privatized with us, not privatized with Rockefeller or Rothschilds or whoever else owns these large businesses. And that's going to be, there's going to be a divide at that point where people are going to be in agreement with it. Sure, let capitalism take over our educational system, specifically our universities and our colleges and our higher education. I got no problem with that. And then other people going, yeah, no, that ain't going to happen. So this is a big deal for us. Now let's take a look at what Carney has to do in this mix. You know what's quite fascinating is looking at Carney's chart, March 16th, 1965, is I want to look where that's going to land in his chart. We don't have his exact time of birth. So he's got what's called Saturn moving over his chart, which means he's going to feel this squeeze. He's going to feel this push, like, we want you to start negating capitalism into Canada and start out with him. I want to see if we know what time he was born. Birth date and time. See if that is in birth time isn't widely published. Okay, so we don't have his birth time, so I won't be able to see that. But still, Saturn is going over his first house. So when he's going to be getting the memo, so to speak, that will be, give me a second here, right at the beginning of the year, January. So he already knows. He's going to find out right now this month and in January. So January, he should be proposing the beginning of the changes in the education system. And this is going to be implemented on a municipality level, is what I'm seeing. And that means each municipality, not provincially or not federally, each municipality is going to be given the memo. We are changing and shifting the education system. The curriculum is going to change drastically, and this is what you're going to be implementing across the board. This will be certain subjects, I believe, are going to be mandatory, such as, hey, everyone on TikTok, such as business, history, political history, specifically in high school and university. And there's going to be grants giving to, if you take a business degree, if you go to school for business, which will be capitalism will be included in it, then we'll pretty much give you your education for free. And they might even take a look at education being granted for free, but that would be more into like Germany does. But that'll be more in 2027 and 2028. Well, that's going to sound wonderful for a lot of people. Who doesn't want a free education? We just spent close to 100, well, between my daughter and I and everybody and all the grants that she got, close to $100,000 on her education. So of course everybody would want that for free. But there's going to be a price to pay for that. Let me see what comments I'm getting here. I call it corporatism. Yes. Also anything new with the 51st state. There is, I know what Trump is doing with the 51st state. And I knew it right. I knew it right from the get-go. Okay. I think I have a little, excuse me. I knew it right from the get-go what the deal was. And that is when we're resource heavy. And so and we would be smart, I think, to partner, to maintain a partnership on a business level with the United States, because they can refine our resources, they can disperse our resources, and I don't know how we, create a business for it. And we can provide those resources, including mining, including silver, including a nickel, and including oil, including lumber. We don't have refineries in Canada, and I don't see anything on paper that's saying that they're going to be creating these refineries anytime soon. So we need to have this relationship, and I know they're trying to do it with China, and they're smarter than I. So I'm sure they're going to figure out how to do this, but I think we need to maintain that. The United States knows that without them, we'll become resource. We'll be starving. We'll have all these resources, but we'll not be making any money from it. And I don't see any time in the near future that Canada is planning on allowing us to utilize all our resources for us, that we're not going to buy it from Saudi Arabia. We're not going to buy it from the United States. We're not going to have everything refined over there and buy it back. I don't see that happening. They're not going to make money providing us with all our own resources. So the United States, I think if we're smart, we will shake hands with the United States. And I think behind the scenes, Carney's doing that. And that's the pressure that's going to come on him in January of 2026. Now, as his basic personality, he's got a ton of oppositions in his chart. And most of it is Saturn, which means he's not the controlling one. He is the one that's being controlled ever since his relationship with his father. And that he buckles down very easily under control. He can fake it till he makes it. He's got a lot of Leo and he's got a lot of Pisces in these charts. And most of the famous actors, the ones that make the greatest actors like Jim Carrey, have strong Pisces and Leo in their chart, because they literally can pretend to act out the character that they're assigned to act out. So good. Like, they do such a good job at it that they've convinced themselves about it. We are talking about Carney and Canada, and I'm looking at Carney in the Canadian chart. And in the Carney, if you have any questions about what tomorrow will be Trump in the US, if you have any questions about what's going on with Carney in the Canadian chart, just ask me. And if you're in here, if you're in a little bit late, I'm talking about what's going to happen in December, January of 2026, right off the hop. He's going to be given the memo of how to make changes in the education system throughout Canada and through capitalism. And I'm going to give you some research here in a second. In March of 2027 is when the rest of the world's going to know, or the rest of Canada is going to know. It'll be very well known of how the education system. Again, this could be offering free education, and it could work. For a lot of people, it'll feel like they're going to work in their favor. Now, it's not only going to be that, but it's the banking system. Okay, so what's happening when we look at large corporation and large organization that's going to turn into capitalism? It's going to start with the education system. And it's going to start with the banking system. And I just heard that over 500 jobs were let go in New Brunswick from the TD Bank. I know somebody in the call centers in the TD Bank. They hired a whole bunch. They actually built a building, TD Bank, for call center in New Brunswick. They hired people from all over Canada and shipped them there, and they purchased houses and everything for themselves. And then they let them in 2017. I think they said this happened, and then they just let them all go, disappear. Is that AI? Is it capitalism? is this a grand plan since 2020? Now, this is interesting too. There is the Council of Inclusive Capitalism. The Capital of Inclusive Capitalism. This is a real thing. The co-founder is Lynn Forrester de Rothschild, and it's led by none other than Mark Carney. This is not a coincidence. This is one of the 4 pillars that hand in hand is starting to create a new financial policy, a new policy of pillars. You can read this article. It's called The 4 Pillars, and it is unlockalberta.substack.com. I'll put the link down below. Okay, we're talking about Canada. We're talking about Carney in the United States. If you got any questions. Carney is easily led. He's able to detach. I mean, this guy is known to be a brainiac in business. But when I look at his chart, it's just that he can act the part, play the part. He's really good at schmoozing. He's really good at, how would I put it? Kind of brilliant at making people feel special. He gets a lot, I would say he gets a lot of his knowledge by other very smart people. And he's able to pass that off as if it's his own. He's good at that. He does have good instinct. I will say that. He's got good intuition. He's got good instinct. He just kind of knows that this is something that needs to be done. But he has been, since he met his wife, which was a long time ago, right? They've been married a very, very long time. She's got the business hat. And she's sort of the one behind the scenes, negating him in his business. That's what I'm seeing here. And also, ever since he met, which is in 2020, and apparently this is an offshoot from COVID in 2020, and people can't control what's going on because of COVID, all of the chaos. Now we need to police it ourselves. We need to make our own laws, our own police, and our own court system. It's going to create a whole global banking system entity within Canada. This doesn't feel good to me. When you read this article, I'm not in favor of capitalism in Canada. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not. Carney is, okay, so Kelowna, what's up here? Well, you're part of Canada, so it's all going to be the same. Nothing according to the government, but have been following Odessa, Orlando-Wisks, and now Media, Kelowna now. What does that mean? Hey, Anita, how are you doing? Very good. I think we are making Canada weak, so we need the U.S. Okay, I'm not sure we are making Canada weak, but Trump's intention was to tariff us to death, to terrify us, tariff us, so that we would become weaker, so that we would need the United States more so. Okay, the land grab. Now, I do think that there are higher powers in Canada, including the Indigenous, and I don't know how many tribes there are in Canada. There's probably 20, 30, 40 different Indigenous tribes, but they are a part of a council. They are part of a business agreement that they're having with this whole capitalism agenda. Okay, so I'm not saying the Indigenous in general. That's completely different. It's almost like saying I work for Ford, and Ford is a big ripoff company. Therefore, I'm a big ripoff person. I have nothing to do with how Ford runs their company. I just work there. It's like saying I'm Canadian, so I'm like Carney. Okay. So the long and the short of it is, what I'm seeing astrologically is that shit's going to basically hit the fan for Carney in January. In March is when 2024. Okay, I'll take a look at your breakthrough in 24, July 86 in New York. She wants to know, Star wants to know if there's going to be a financial breakthrough for them. So just hang on there. One of the first countries that's going to implement free education and a universal income will be Canada. They've already practiced it in different places, and they're going to work with it in the UK as well. So this is the UK. This is Canada, this is the Vatican, and this is Washington. And I didn't know this. Washington, D.C. is its own state, and it's almost its own country. It's its own entity. So is the Vatican. So is part of London, which is, I don't know if it has to do with the monarchy, but it's a specific, the square of London is its own entity. And Canada is owned by the UK. We're not a sovereign country. And I question whether the United States is because of Washington as well. But this is an agenda that's been going since 2020, and Carney is here to implement that. I got a download yesterday that Trudeau has never had anything to do with this. The Justin Trudeau, not Pierre Trudeau, and that he's just a placeholder because they weren't ready yet. Because they knew other agendas were coming first, which started in 2020. Go find out about BIS, City of London, where the banks are. Yes, absolutely. So yeah, the City of London, or the Square of London, is the pillar of the banking system. That's the pillar of the banking system. And Canada and the Okay, so let's take a look at July 24th, 1986. But because whenever anybody asks me about what's going on financially, I get a block, because our whole financial system is changing drastically. And if you guys are questioning whether your careers, not only is the TD Bank going to be almost gone, I think they're going to amalgamate all of the banks into one. That's capitalism, right? And I'm not well versed in politics or banking or business at all. Trust me. I'm just looking at things astrologically. And so July 24th, 86. And they want to know when they're going to have a breakthrough in finances. Well, I am proud to tell you that it'll be this year. You've been going through a shit show, and there's been control out of your hands that you guys invested in as a couple, and even relying on a parental figure, and everything was just messed up. And chaos after chaos. But I'm glad to say for you, I hope you're listening to this, July 1986 in New York, that whole shit show is over. I don't see it returning in any way in 2026. And nope. And there's going to be abundance for you financially, in business as well. And you're going to receive a lot of that right away in January, February. So I don't see you signing documents in January and February. And you'll boots to the ground. You're going to reap the benefits throughout the whole year. There's a date very strong where you're going to reap the benefits in July. Let me see here. Oh, January, February, and March. Yeah, so 2026 successful for you. Let's look at messages on TikTok. Yes, you are right. You are accurate. Okay, thank you, Star. But what's going to happen to our money in the bank? My husband has been working around the clock, have been backstabbed so much. Yeah, so everything's successful for you. Now, when it comes to what's going to happen with my money, anybody's money, I really highly recommend that you guys take a look at finding other resources, TikTok, for what you're gonna do with your money. So I'll tell you what we're doing. We bought silver. We are not going to buy real estate. I don't think it's advantageous to buy real estate right now. Happy Wednesday. I'm not. We are looking at getting into um, not just Bitcoin, but crypto, in and out of crypto very quickly by June. So if you guys get into investments and you get into purchasing stocks and all that kind of stuff, purchase it now, get out before the end of June. Buy crypto, get out by the end of June. I said the same thing for October, and I did the same. I did that. I just got a very small amount in stocks, and I sold literally the day before October 20th, and then I bought after. So I made a teeny weeny bit of money. CRB says capitalism is dead long time ago. Corporatism is corruption of government to make good for them and not for us. When will this happen with the bank? It's already happening. Now, you guys are probably thinking, when are the banks going to like switch over? Probably in June, July of 2026 is what I'm seeing. I don't have any research done, so I'm not sure research-wise, but astrologically, that's what I'm seeing. TD Bank, BMO, Bank of Montreal, they're already doing it. So TD has already fired a whole bunch of people. BMO has created departments in order to foreclose on mortgages. So all through you're going to see this in March. You're going to see some of it in January, some of it in March. But March is when people are going to be losing their homes because the banks won't renew their mortgages. This is going to happen for an entire year. It's going to happen in January and March of 2026 or 2027 as well. But what's going to happen throughout all of 2026 is the people are going to see it coming down the pipeline. So they're going to start freaking out. They're going to try to go to other banks to get mortgages renewed or to set it up for preparation and see if they can get approved. They're going to go to private lenders to see if they can save their mortgages. And if I were to advise any of you, but please do your own due diligence. I know this is really compelling and it's quite captivating and you're going to want to do the right thing, kind of go with the flow. Guys, don't freak out, because in the long run, this is beneficial because we will rise above. And that's the whole thing that's going to happen in the summer of 2026. Canadians aren't going to put up with it, and they're going to start fighting against it. It's very strong in March of 2027. Okay. Own as less as you possibly can. Own, okay, less debt. Own as less debt. That's under debt as possibly as you can. Don't have any debt. Pay off your credit cards, pay off your car, pay off your house. And if you have debt, sell it and buy it something cheaper that you can afford to lose or you can afford to pay off ASAP. You've got a $30,000 car loan, sell that car, pay off the loan, and buy a $4,000 car. And don't laugh at me because I've never had debt on my car. I buy my car cash all the time, my entire life, except for my very first one. And I don't pay more than $4,000. My last car I paid $4,000 for. And the car I had before that, which lasted me, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, $4,000. Okay, so you can do it. We sold our house. We live in a tiny home that we built with our cousin because it's on his property. So he will own the house eventually after our agreement is over, or we'll pay him a small amount of rent. We've got 2 trailers. We just bought a second one. And we will start traveling again with our second trailer. We have one here permanently that we can live in if we need to, if we end up renting this. We were going to purchase a house, but we're not purchasing now. Last time that the US dollar was printed in 2017, We are digital for most payments, and we are pretty much already digital. I know, right, CRB? You guys, I have a friend right now. 2 banks are refusing to renew her mortgage. See what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. Because, and this is all a setup, guys. And I talked about this 2 years ago about what was going to be happening with Canada. Now, the thing is that when people say to me, "When are we going to go digital?" "Oh, we're going to digital." "I don't like digital." My husband's one of them. And I'm like, "Shut up. We've been digital for so long." And was like, "I'm not going to," my friend's like really big on, "I'm not giving my thumbprint. I'm not going to do facial recognition." They're already doing that. They've been doing it forever. I literally went to the airport in October, from Orlando to Toronto. And there was a big sign. I took a picture of it. I'll see if I can find it. It's on my phone. I took a picture of this huge screen. You know, when you sit just before you board the airplane, you're sitting in that waiting room, and it literally says, "We are digitally taking a facial recognition of your picture while you're going through." So it's already happening. So, and then the last time, yeah, there's no such thing as a dollar. It's all fake money. When they say, "Oh, we're $1 trillion in debt, Canada." No, we're not. We're not physically have money in debt. We're in debt to other countries. In the movies, this is how I look at it. This is a download I'm getting, right? CRB, I'd love your opinion on this. You know, it's happening. I'm so worried for her. I know. I'm sorry. I know people that are losing but they're going to set it up. So we need universal income, and that's what really will put us into capitalism. Now, it didn't work. It never worked in history. They're like, think about it, guy. It never worked in history. Who tried it? Hitler? Was that capitalism? Marxism didn't work. Capitalism didn't work. It's never going to work. So have fun with it, with your little temporary game you're going to play with us. But it will make us more sovereign, because we will fight for our own freedom. We will become that. We will separate ourselves from the system, and we'll just create our own. And we can. We've done it, and we will do it. Where was I going with the download that I was receiving in capitalism and money and financials? Oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. Okay, it's going to come back to me on what. So this is a fantastic opportunity for us to take back our sovereignty and for us to take back our power. And we can do this. Would Canadian banks freeze cash withdrawals if you go to withdraw $50,000 from CIBC? CIBC is a tough one. That's what TD Bank and CIBC are the two tough ones. I don't think they're going to freeze, but they're going to make it really, really difficult for you. And I believe if you do it in $10,000 increments, or just under $10,000 increments, especially if you're wanting to buy gold or silver or whatever, that's where I would go with it. Right? That's where I would go with it. I would do it in small increments. We were going to purchase a house. We're not purchasing a house now, because I believe that the interest, the taxes on property taxes is going to skyrocket. Yeah. So I've been telling you guys since June to sell your homes as fast as possible. If you've got people working for the banks and they're high up there, I got a friend client that's quite high up there. She's just moving into another department, and so it's fortunate for her. How much gold should I get? Silver versus gold. Our research that we've done, we're doing silver. Yeah, that's what I said. Interests are going to go up. They're going to skyrocket. And the interest rates on houses, interest rates going up. Sorry, yeah. The taxes on property are going to skyrocket. It's already, and where I live, it's going up 36% within the next 3 years. That's the plan. I would do silver. Only because silver is a mineral that is useful in a product way as well, like in technology. And interest rates will go up. Well, that's the thing. Everyone's going to be looking for And I shouldn't be giving this kind of advice. We buy lots of silver. Yeah, I shouldn't be giving this kind of advice. But if you want to make money, and who knows what it's going to be worth in the future, then if you want to be we used to be like people, we lent money out. And so we made money off of that. And 7 or 8 months ago, I said, get our money back ASAP. And so it took us 6 months to get it back, but we got it, or 3 months to get it back, but we got it back. And if you're a private lender, lend money as a now, do your own due diligence, because I do not have a business hat. I don't own, not even a little tiny hat. Not a business person at all. I'm doing this through knowledge and intuition. Lend the money out. Make sure you're the first one on the mortgage. You're the first one. So when the house sells, you get paid first and then get out. And I still think that's risky. I still think it's risky because and don't overloan. So I wouldn't, like, let's say houses are worth 600,000. Don't lend 600,000 because the house will not sell for 600,000. If you can lend half that, then you'll get your money back after the bank gets their interest. Make sense? Interest. So because of that, yes, interest rates are going to go up because they're going to go like, hey, if you can afford this interest rate, then maybe we'll take a look at lending you a portion of the money, but then the rest of it you're going to have to get from a private lender, and then they're going to charge you a high interest rate as well. So it's just a shit show all the way around. The sooner that you can sell, the faster. If you have a home that's already paid off, you might be okay. Stay where you're at. If you're happy with that, and if you're okay with property taxes skyrocketing, and if you're okay with the government coming in and saying you're going to have to make a lot of climate changes for emissions and all that other stuff in your house, it's going to cost you a lot of money. If you're okay with that and you got the free flow of money, then you're good. Oh my God, I'm considering this next year. Thank you for touching this topic. Yeah, Asha. I would not buy a house in the next 2 years at all. That's me. I wouldn't buy big ticket items. Used is cool. All our cars are used. Everything's paid off. We have no taxes. We don't pay utilities or anything to the government. And that's the other thing, because there's this huge climate change agenda that this capitalistic company, and you can look it up. I'm going to tell you guys, look up this website, unlockalberta.substack.com. I've not read any of their other articles, her other articles, but this one has to do with the 4 pillars, and that Canada and Carney belongs to this corporation. And this is what's going to blow you away. I went to this. It's online. You can find this. I'm trying to find it here. Sorry. Climate Convention. So capitalistic, United. It's not United Capitalistic. Oh my gosh, find it. There's 611 members on this website for sustainable development. And they're from all over the world. I don't know. I don't have time to look up. And they're all a part of the ICLEI. And they're implementing the Agenda 21 and the 2030 architect throughout different funnels. And this is a sustainable development goal. and it's being implemented in Canada as we speak. Now, as soon as Canada goes into capitalism, maybe CRB can educate me on this. Does that mean that if Mark Carney can stay in as prime minister permanently, if it's capitalistic? Is Russia capitalism? I know they're not a sovereign country, but would they be considered? So the Council for Inclusive Capitalism, look that up. And it's literally what it's called. I believe it's a Council of Inclusive Capitalism.org. Mark Carney is the one that leads it. .com. Inclusivecapitalism.com. That's all it is. They have a mission. It's based on climate control. It started in 2020. And somehow it was spearheaded from COVID. And when I look in Mark Carney's chart and Canada's chart, the reset for Canada, it is starting in March of 2026. And there's going to be huge pushback in March of 2027. Digital future may be out money to metal and mineral stocks. They're going to need a lot of quantum digital stuff. They're going for, yeah. I'm not sure what that means. Would you think that construction trades will take a hit during this coming recession, for example, paving? That's a good question. And my first instinct is yes. There's already, I think it's $400 million have been allocated to Ottawa for affordable housing. And the research that I've done is Ottawa, Toronto. It's not Moncton, but it's a larger city in New Brunswick. Langford in Victoria, BC. And somewhere in Alberta. Can't remember. These are 5 in Toronto. These are 5 cities that the government of Canada is giving millions of dollars to start building sustainable and affordable housing, aka stack homes, stack townhouses. And you will pay a high price to be able to live in these affordable homes. And I don't mean a price financially, but, and then I also see you'll be locked in, right? You'll be locked into being dependent on it. And I do see that anybody that's on ODSP, that's Ontario one, but anyone that's on any kind of supplemental income will be the first ones given the universal basic income, just to see how it worked. They practiced on us during COVID, and many people got that $2,000 a month because it lost their jobs and they were helping us out and all this kind of wonderful stuff. So be careful the hand that feeds you. We're building them in Calgary. Yeah, it's probably Calgary is what it. I mean, it's not hidden. It's as plain as day. If you look for it, they put it all out there for you to see on the government website. But nobody does that. Nobody looks for that. And so if you tell somebody you're like a conspiracy theorist or you're fear mongering, but it's there as plain as day. And if you support that agenda, then that's great. You know, if you like capitalism and you want the government to control every step of your life as if you are an employee in a business. And if I look at capitalism, because this is a thing happening to Canada, in Capitalism and Freedom, a book by Milton Friedman. Capitalism and Slavery, a book by Eric Williams. I mean, that's just capitalism and climate change. Capitalism versus socialism. capitalism versus communism. That's what I was thinking in Russia. So what is the difference between capitalism and communism? Let's take a look. Capitalism and communism are opposing economic systems, primarily differing in the ownership of the means of production and the role of the government. Capitalism features private ownership, free markets, and competition, leading to wealth-based on market success. In contrast, communism advocates for a state of collective ownership, centralized planning, and an aim for classless society where resources are distributed and based on need. Now, let's take a look at what this agenda is for Council of Inclusive Capitalism, framework for inclusive capitalism. Workers have been underserved by much of America's economic growth for far too long, and never has there been more apparent than it is now. The COVID-19 pandemic has exposed the underlying fragility and inequities of our economic system, with burdens disproportionately hitting the lowest paid and most vulnerable. Well, that sounds like they really care about us. Over the 40 years, America's policies and practices have led to decline in the economic opportunity and positive outcomes for many workers. Meanwhile, historic, radical, and other social injustice have disproportionately limited the ability of many to share the American dream. The American dream. Why is it led by Carney? So we're American now. Now we are. I mean, the Americas, Canada, Mexico, United States. But when we say America, most people, I don't know about you, but I do too, assume the United States. But when you look at the council on this, approximately 611 people, members on this website, the Council for Inclusive Capitalism, they're from all over the world. So why is this just being proposed as an America agenda? Adoption for this framework and its principal policies and practice recommendations will help create an economy that is not only more fair and just, but that also produces more sustainable growth, social equality over the long term. America's recovering from 40 years of declining worker opportunities and gain sharing his history of the systematic racism and inequality, as well as COVID-19. Real big focus on COVID-19. And yet, if you look at where is most of Carney's business and money has been made, you take a look yourself. I'm not going to place judgment. I came on late. What triggers a Canadian reset for March of 2026? The agenda, this is going to fall off. There we go. It's an astrological thing. It's really going to be March of 2027. It's going to start in March of 2026, but it has a lot to do with this inclusive capitalism, climate control, the mortgages not being renewed. And that starts in February and March of 2026. People will lose their homes. And the banking system is being taken over by larger corporations. A lot of people are getting fired. So a lot of jobs are being lost around that too. Okay. So let's see what else has to be said here. And then I'm going to wrap this up. This is 15-minute cities agenda, and they're building everywhere for useless eaters. A digital future. Yeah. Guelph and Fergus, which is the area that I live in. I live around that area, is a 15-minute city. I call this society we live in modern times feudalism, steel control by the elite with corporations. And that's what they're big. They're in this for business. They're businesses. They're in it to make money. And that's it. At the end of the day, they just want to make money. And whatever that looks like is the agenda that they're going to push. I'm not saying that we don't need climate change. Know what, CRB? I'm not saying that we can produce products, we can produce food, we can produce large factory-based platforms and we can produce cars, we can produce clean, zero emissions, zero energy, but it isn't what the government is producing. It's not with nuclear energy, it's not with electrical energy, and it's not with just, wind power or solar panels. There are people that have invented zero energy. Nikola Tesla is one of them. Nassim Haramein is another one. We can run a car off of water. But guess what? It doesn't make money. It doesn't make money. And you're right. If your government is corrupt, you have no competition. And that's what I was going to, thank you. That's what I was going to compare it to, is back in the mob days, right? And remember I said that we're $1 trillion in debt to other countries, and you're looking at this as a dollar bill. We're not $1 trillion in debt with other countries. We are in debt. We are indebted to them, but not when it comes to money. So remember, anybody watching, I don't remember. I wasn't a mob. I don't belong to the mob. I'm not in the business of being in the mob, but we've all watched movies, and we all know that when you ask a person in the mob for help, they'll gladly give you the help. And then they'll say, "Oh, what do I owe you? What can I get you?" Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Enjoy, and when I need anything, I'll let you know. And then you're in debt for the rest of your life. And you better pay back whenever they want it, because they own you now. And that's what it comes down to. If we're in debt to Saudi Arabia, trillions of dollars, they own us. That's it. And it's a big game of risk. They make rules only working for them, not for small businesses to grow. That's right. So that's why we have to become sovereign. That's why we want to take care of ourselves. Big brother isn't going to help you. Big business isn't going to help you. Nobody that you vote for, they're all in it together. Anybody you vote for is going to follow the same agenda. It doesn't matter who you vote for. They're following the same agenda. Now, we're going to talk about Trump tomorrow, and we're going to talk about the U.S. tomorrow, the U.S. chart. And they're going through the same thing. They're going through a soul rebirth. That's already started. It's been over a year now. And is Trump on this same agenda? The jury is out. I've got mixed personal feelings about it, but I'm going to look at his chart and I'm going to tell you what I see there. I personally feel that he is somewhat on the fence and he's playing the game well. And I'll let you know more tomorrow. So come over here, 8:00 Eastern Standard Time, 5:00 PST, at 8:00 Eastern, and we'll continue this talk. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. I'm on YouTube, I'm on TikTok Live, and we'll see you tomorrow. Namaste.